Every day means every day. My name is Brandon Burns, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you why you're probably missing out on 90% of the effectiveness and what you should be learning from coaches and mentors. If you have a fitness coach, a business coach, a relationship coach, a life coach, anybody like that in your life that you're learning from, even if it's not a direct connection, even if it's just people that you follow on social media that have aspirational achievements and you'd like to learn from them, you're probably not learning nearly as much as you could be and should be learning from them. And therefore, your progress that should be being shortcutted by decades is probably only being shortcutted by months. And you could be progressing so much faster if you just avoided this one mistake that almost everybody does. Now, just for a little bit of background on this, before I actually tell you what that mistake is and exactly how you can fix it, you should know that I'm, to this day, ET's agent. So Dr. Eric Thomas, the #1 motivational speaker in the world, he's been on top of the game in the speaking and coaching industry for literally decades. Whoever your favorite Miami influencer is who's teaching people how to make money online, ET has been in that game of selling e-learning products, digital products, info products, speaking, coaching, consulting, books. Like, he's been doing this for literally decades. And so while, of course, obviously I have all my own stuff, I do my own high performance coaching, motivational speaking, I have my app, I have business consulting, all sorts of stuff. No matter how big that stuff grows, I'm always going to be attached to ET in some way, shape, or form because he was the one who gave me my start in the industry, my first big break. And so I'm currently still his agent. So all of these six-figure speaking gigs that he does, I'm the one that's brokering those deals, negotiating the contracts, ghostwriting the slides, all the things, right? Even our product launches. I worked on his book launch for the New York Times bestseller. I've personally closed over $10 million in deals on behalf of his company for his coaching and mastermind products. So I've done a lot of work with him. And over the last 5 years of working with him, I've gotten a front row seat of how the empire and his business empire actually works from the inside out. I've seen it all and I've been involved in it all. And it gives me a really unique perspective. And so when he goes on the road and speaks at some of these big events, a lot of times I'll try and go with him just because I like to be in the room. It's inspirational for me, even still 5 years later. And quite frankly, it's great networking and exposure for me as well. But my point in saying all of that is I'm kind of used to it at this point. The glitz and the glam and the big stages and the fireworks and the lights and everything, it's worn off on me a little bit. I'm a little used to it at this point. But I was with him at a gig in Dallas just a few days ago. Really big gig, thousands of people in the audience, high-paying industry, all the good things. And he offered the opportunity for some of his mastermind members to tag along with him. These are people who pay him tens of thousands of dollars per year to be able to have more of a direct relationship with him, get that coaching, get that mentoring, and get opportunities like this to get in the environment and watch him do what he does up close and personal, right? And so granted, these people have paid a lot of money and it's probably underpriced considering the type of environment exposure that they're getting access to. But they're still not really used to that kind of environment, right? Like, they haven't gotten there personally yet, and so it's still kind of new to them. But they brought everybody backstage. ET killed it. One of the best keynotes he's done maybe ever. It was incredible. He gets off stage, him and I talk for a little bit, and then we go into the backstage area where these 5 or 6 individuals from his mastermind who were shadowing that day, where they were sitting. And he says, hey, I got 10 minutes before my next thing. Let's go around the room. Give me any questions that you might have. And these guys are throwing him different questions. And I'm sitting there listening, again, with a slightly different perspective. I'm a little bit more removed from it because I've been here, done that. And I'm listening to these questions. I'm sitting back like, y'all still don't get it. You're so close. You have more direct access to one of the best to ever do it in the speaking, coaching, consulting industry. And you still, you're close, but you don't get it because the questions you're asking, it's not that they're dumb questions. They're not stupid questions, but you're missing the point of this experience. Again, you're making a mistake and you're not learning and progressing the way that you should be from your mentor. Let me explain this. They were asking what I call 1% improvement questions, meaning, how do you get people to open your emails and your email marketing? How do you write better headlines and better copy? How do you get people to connect with you on stage? How do you structure your keynotes? How do you get more people to click on the ads? How do you, all these nitty-gritty business questions. And again, I do all that stuff behind the scenes. I write the copy for all of his websites. I write the copy for all of his emails. So again, I'm not saying that those are bad questions. Those are things you do need to study. You need to get good at digital marketing. You need to get good at the fundamentals of business. You need to get good at speaking if that's going to be a part of your lead generation tactics. It's all important stuff, but it's 1% improvement stuff. If you go from being a good speaker to a 1% better speaker, are you suddenly going to go from making, $1,000 per gig to $40,000 a gig? Probably not. If you get 1% better at writing headlines, you're going to go from a 10% open rate to a 30% open rate? Probably not. So they're good things to learn and constantly improve on, but they're not the true essence of what makes somebody like an Eric Thomas successful. And here's the principle, okay? Write this down if you're taking notes. I am is always going to be more important than I think. I am is more important than I think. And what I realized was that these people were asking these questions because the limiting belief that's in their mind is that the reason they haven't made it yet in their online business, the reason that they haven't made it yet as a speaker or a coach or an author, the reason that they aren't successful in their relationships, the reason they aren't successful in their health and their fitness, whatever they're trying to achieve in their life, they think that the reason they haven't been able to make it yet is because they're missing a tactic. They're missing a strategy. They're missing that secret little thing that if they just did this, everything would change. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth. The I am is more important than the I think. It's also more important than the I do. The actions and the thoughts are not as important as the essence of the being that those things come from. So who you are is 10 times more important than what you think or what you do. Why? Because what you think and what you do are simply derivatives of who you really are, fundamentally. Again, not to be a Bible thumper on this, but when Moses turned to the burning bush and said, "Who should I say sent me?" God didn't say, "Tell them the I did sent you. Tell them the I think sent you." He said, "Tell them the I am sent you." Why? Because the fundamental essence is always going to be more important than the thoughts or the actions that follow from that essence. And so when you ask somebody like an Eric Thomas, who's very accomplished, who's very successful, who is a great business mind, when you ask him, "Hey, how do I become more successful?" which is the root of what all these questions really were, you're asking a fundamentally spiritual being to articulate themselves in words. And that's like playing a game of telephone. Because now the essence of the being is having to go from the spiritual realm to the physical realm in using words. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because as of right now, you can't take the contents of somebody's spirit and the soul and the essence that they do things with and just give that to somebody and be like, "Here, scan this," and just download the information. So you have to translate using words whenever you're speaking, teaching, or coaching. However, instead of asking those questions, a far better thing to do to actually learn from somebody is to study the I am, to study the essence of what they do, to study the being, not the doing or the thinking, and then reverse engineer that. So I have never once sat down with ET and him giving me a blueprint on how to lay out a keynote speech. He's never said, "Open up your speeches this way, do your intro that way, tell your stories this way." He's never told me, "Sell things like this. When you pitch from stage, do it this way. When you create the products, do it this way." He's never sat down and told me that stuff. And yet I've learned more from him than any of the mastermind members have. Why? Because I'm reverse engineering the essence of what he does rather than trying to get him to think or do, right? I'm looking at, man, how do you treat other people? Like when you interact with the CEO, what are these conversations like? How do you go about doing that? What kind of essence and spirit is occupying that conversation? And then, let me reverse engineer that. You're genuinely curious and interested. That's why you're asking these questions, right? So if somebody went to ET and said, "Listen, I got a question. How do you build such great relationships with these CEOs and decision makers who are hiring you to speak for hundreds of thousands of dollars?" And ET could say, "Oh, well, I ask them these sorts of questions and that makes them feel really interested, and like I care about their people and their audience, and I show them how I'm going to get them an ROI." Is that false? No, it's not. But what you missed there is that the reason he does that is not because it's strategically correct. He does that because he's genuinely curious and genuinely trying to provide value to their audience and get them a positive ROI. The questions naturally flow from the essence that they're rooted in. And so again, stop focusing on what do you think? How do you do this? The thinking and the doing are not the important part. The being is the important part. You got to start looking at who these people are. right? Even with every day means every day. I tell people all the time, my workout, like people walk up into me in the gym. Hey, what's your split? Dude, it doesn't matter what my split is. I can tell you, but it's not going to make a difference. Because what you need to understand is the essence of every day means every day. You need to understand that my identity is consistency, that who I am at my core is that this is something that I do no matter what. Rain, sleet, snow, or shine, it doesn't matter. This is who I am. Once you understand that essence, then I can teach you the split. Then I can teach you the drop sets. Then I can teach you the time under tension rules. Then I can teach you all the little nitty-gritty nuances of exercise science. I can give you that. But until you get the being part, the doing ain't going to matter. Because you're probably not even going to put in enough effort. Or if you do, it's going to be one time only. You're not going to be consistent with it. Same thing goes in business. Same thing goes in your relationships. Who cares if you learn the latest and greatest communication techniques and the latest and greatest relationship book that somebody came out with on conflict resolution and all the stuff? Who cares? If you don't approach it with the right spirit, your partner or your spouse is going to be like, oh, okay, you're asking the right questions, but it's coming from a place where you're just trying to move on, like get it over with and move on. You're not actually caring about me right now, and I don't feel loved, and they're going to feel that. The I am is more important than the I do or the I think. So when you have these mentors, again, whether it's a direct mentor or whether it's somebody that you're learning from on social media or just reading their books, yes, take what they're saying into account. If they're giving you strategies, amazing. But look a layer deeper than that. Look behind that. Who's the human being? Who are they? What's their essence? And then reverse engineer it from there. That's the game. That's how you learn. But so many people think, oh, if I pay somebody thousands and thousands of dollars to teach me the blueprint to starting an online coaching business, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. You can know all the right things to do and still be broke because you didn't fix this. You didn't become the right person. It's more about the man or the woman behind the business than it is the tactics that they use in the business. And you can get rich quickly using the right tactics, but you can sustain it when you become the right person. I told you at the beginning of the video, E.T.'s been at the top of the game for decades. I'm not going to put his financials out there, but he ain't made less than a big number in a very long time. A lot of these little Instagram people in Miami that keep popping up, just wait. We'll see. Give it 5 years. Give it 10 years. See if they're still around. They did the right things, but they didn't become the right person. Become, then you can think the right things. Then you can do the right things. Then you can have the right things. Become, then believe, and then execute. If you start looking at things through that lens, you're going to learn a whole lot more. Hey, till next time, every day means every day.